No, I don't think I've ever seen that symbol before. The one that means it's actually heating the battery. Wow, that's quite cool. Although I'm pretty sure it always used to do that. When you heated the cabin, the car would always heat the battery as well. It's just, now we have a symbol to tell us it's heating the battery. Come on, Jasper. School time. Ooh, sunny. Well, wonders never cease. Come on, quickly, go forwards. Let's see how warmed up that battery is. Yeah, okay, so it's obviously warmed up.
Because the sun is out, Rosie.
Yeah, the sun is out, but it is very cold, Jasper.
How?
Just is. Bye-bye, Jasper. Have a good day at school. And it's time to get to it. Lots to do, including hopefully have a 2K run. Still going to just keep it at 2K, I think. We're going to do that for a few days until we've seen how the ankle's responding. And, you know, provided it's continuing to feel better every day, then we'll up the distance and speed. Okay, I have to go get Jasper, and, you know, I know what I need now. Turn the lights off, actually. I know what I need now in order to get that office properly sorted. I need really useful boxes, and that way I can have a box for cables, and a box for batteries, and a box for lighting stuff, and a box for audio, and all that sort of thing, and I can keep everything organised. And it won't look awful. I mean, I could find little shoe boxes to do this, but I don't know, just multicoloured different shoe boxes. It's not going to, you know, I want it to look reasonable up there. That's at least part of the point. Yeah, there are 3 areas that I want to sort out in that house. The first is obviously the office, and then you've got the summer house and the garage. 3 absolutely disorganised nightmares that could be great. And that's the thing, it's just a wasted opportunity, not actually doing something with that space other than using it as a dumping ground, because that's basically what all 3 of those are at the moment. A junk dumping ground. I don't know, why do we build up so much junk? I have no idea. Okay, so for my sins, while I've been sitting here, I've been reading about Toyota. Hydrogen fuel cells are so ridiculously stupid. I failed to see how a company the size of Toyota can't... If you look at anything that's failed in the past, you see a few sort of telltale signs. And hydrogen has got them all. Expensive and difficult for the manufacturers to introduce. It's expensive and difficult for the consumers to absorb initially. Expensive and difficult for the infrastructure to be put in place. You need all 3 of these to come together in a meaningful way in order to sell any number of vehicles. And it's that capital expense on the infrastructure in particular that prevents a viable minimum product from being offered to the public. Which is why so few of them are selling. Because if you live right next to a hydrogen fueling station and you never want to drive more than 100 miles, it starts to look like a reasonable proposition, provided you get the hydrogen for free, which you can do because, let's face it, Toyota sell like 5 of these things in a year, pretty much. Not actually, genuinely not far off. I think they did something like 3,000 in the US so far since 2014 of the Toyota Mirai. So yeah, really, unbelievable. Whereas you take electric vehicles, and I've noticed that there's a range below which people aren't really interested in, unless they're die-hard EV enthusiasts, and that's around the 150 mile point. You know, maybe, you know, somewhere between 120 and 150 miles, a very, very much larger group of people become interested in EVs. And I'm pretty sure this is the reason why. With a fuel cell, you've got to worry about fueling the vehicle. Now, the flip side to that is you have much faster recharging time, or refueling time. Okay, so let's get a point for fuel cells there. However, and this is the rub, once you have a battery with a sufficiently large range that the vast majority of the time you never actually have to consider plugging in at all, then at that point, the hassle of having to plug in or think about trying to find somewhere to plug in 2 days in the year, and you will most likely be successful in finding that, of course, because there are quite a few electric car charging points out there, even now, it becomes a no-brainer because you never have to charge the thing. You just wake up in the morning, it's fully charged, you've got 150 miles, so that means you can drive 75 miles in any direction you want, sit there, have lunch, turn around, come back. The vast majority of people do not want to do any more than that in a day, more or less ever. You occasionally get somebody who's like, oh, well, I have to drive 250 miles. Well, 250 miles is like, that's like 4 or 5 hours in the car at least. So there's a reasonable chance that you're going to accept a half-an-hour break in the middle as a reasonable pause in your journey. Once you've got that longer range, the ability to fast refuel a hydrogen vehicle is no longer an advantage, because you still got to go and fuel it. Even if it only was like, even if it was instant and you had to pull in, you just tap the nozzle to your car and it magically fills up and then you just get in and drive off. That would still be less convenient than just driving straight past the hydrogen station and going on your way, which is exactly what you would be doing if you'd woken up with an electric vehicle parked on the driveway, because it would have charged all night long. Now, and there is a big problem here, which is, of course, if you live in a city. The flip side of that is if you live in a city, you don't tend to want to do a lot of miles on a daily basis. I have to do miles like all the time because I live in the countryside. So if I want to go to my local town, there's a 50-mile round trip just right there, just to the local town. But in London, you want to go to the town centre from the outskirts, you're not going to take a car anyway. So it's not that important making sure that your car fully charges overnight. What you can do instead is just keep it charged using a quick charger at, say, a petrol forecourt. And that's where things like this whole Shell recharge thing, I think, show the way forward. I think banks of quick chargers, whether they're at supermarkets or petrol forecourts or dedicated new sites that are yet to be named, that's, I think, going to be the way to deal with EV charging in a city by apartment dwellers. That is basically what I wanted to say today about hydrogen fuel cells and battery electric vehicles. Yay! Shocked and horrified that anybody is still on that bandwagon. And I know how their thought process is working. They're thinking, in the long run, it will have the advantage. And in the long run, it would have the advantage, provided EVs don't get any longer ranges than right now, like literally right now. The only time that a fuel cell vehicle has any kind of advantage over an EV is in a world where it's got like an 80-mile range, the EV. That's it. Because when the EV's got 150 miles or 200 miles of range, it's not an issue anymore. You just drive it. It's much easier than hydrogen fuel cells. And I don't think fuel cells are ever going to become cheaper than EVs, principally because I think they're too complicated and there's too much precision engineering, and precision costs money. Precision always costs money. There's a lot of precision involved in, you know, valves and tanks that hold back hydrogen. So you can't get away from that. Batteries, on the other hand, it's more about scale. Battery's a little cylinder thing with some chemicals sloshing around in it and a couple of rather funky materials for the anode and cathode, and then you just want another 7,000 of them and you're good to go. Right, anyway, so I'm gonna go grab Jasper. I'll see you guys in a minute. It's a weekend now, isn't it? Let's give Mummy a ring and see if she's gonna be home for supper. Unfortunately, it looks like having a clean car is over because it's raining. Oh man, look at this, monkey's wedding. It's kind of raining whilst at the same time also sunny. There you go, Jasper. You did some good writing, so you can have some treats. Yeah, so we did our writing today. Jasper wrote, can you see that? 2 treats, Jasper, he wrote. With a fair amount of scribbling out. But we're getting there, aren't we, Jazzy? I think what I'm probably going to do is go and do a bit more of the office. Yeah, it's all a great big organising thing. I just need, I need those really useful boxes though. So I'm just going to kind of prepare stuff into piles, which is going to look messy, but it won't be messy. Right, Jasper, do you mind if I do my exercises now? Yeah, just going to go have a quick run, okay? Does a lot of exercise, that kid. I wonder if I can make it 3 kilometres. And as you can see, I got bored running at 9 kilometres an hour. Not bad for only the second day back on the running machine. Reasonably confident. My ankle's had enough for the day though. Wow. Well, I'm really pleased I did that. January was a wipeout for me. I think of my so-called supposedly daily vlog, I did 20 out of 31 posts. So really awful. We're gonna do a lot better in February. Same goes with the running. Oh yes. We're gonna back to that 2K a day. We're gonna get all energized, motivated, focused, driven forwards and make some great content for you. Excellent. Ooh, and another great piece of news. Weighed myself after my run, 88.7 kilos. First time I've been in the 88 end of things for about 6 months, so yes. What's he showing you? The basketball bouncing he's been practicing.
Basketball bouncing.
Nice to see you back for the weekend. You never guess what, Soph?
What?
I'm 88.7 kilos now. I did 3 kilometres at 10.5 kilometres an hour.
Oh my god.
So I've upped the speed a bit and I've added 50% to the distance as well. And you know, I'm still walking around. It's a little bit, it's definitely sorer than it was before I ran, but it's okay.
So we're going to have a race this weekend then?
No. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye for the day now. We've got Soph, it's time to settle in and get ready for a good old weekend. So I hope you've enjoyed today's vlog post. If you have, remember to like it, share it and subscribe if you haven't already, and follow me on Instagram if you don't already. And I'll see you tomorrow for the next instalment of my daily vlog. Bye. What you need to do is you keep trying to do it and then you'll get better, won't you? You're my wife, right? Or I get confused, it's between you and the cleaner. She can't see her about as often as I see you. A couple of hours once a week.
It was quite funny actually.